Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing the Omega Seamaster 1200 meter Ploprof in its 2015 to present form. So the original Ploprof was launched in the early 1970s as a 600 meter professional grade diver, originally designed with Comex in mind, although never formally used by them. In 2009, following the blowout Omega Mania vintage auction of the late 2000s, Omega decided to bring back the Ploprof. Now as the Seamaster 1200 meter, that was a steel watch with the date. The 2015 update that you see right here is in titanium. It does not feature a date, and it features the latest master chronometer, a caliber 8900. So now we're up to date. Let's talk about the watch. In grade 5 titanium, it is large but surprisingly wearable. So it is 55 millimeters if you measure it from side to side, but that's not how you really wear this watch. It's long down the wrist, but it's short across the wrist. Being only 48 millimeters from side to side, that's actually less than a Rolex Daytona with solid end links on a bracelet. So this is actually a very short watch across the wrist. Also, you should know that it's thick, 18.4 millimeters, and while it might look like this is some kind of proprietary integrated bracelet, what you're actually looking at is a mesh bracelet in a conventional 24 millimeter lug spacing that could be used with any 24 millimeter strap and spring bars. So we'll throw it on my wrist, which is oval in cross section, 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see, I didn't lie, it is not broad across the wrist. It's nowhere near encroaching on either side, and you can really see that better from over the top. And then, of course, it's very, very, very thick. So it's not going to fit underneath the cuff, but all titanium and sapphire, it is light. It's a watch you can easily wear. And I know a number of folks who daily drive the steel version, which is even heavier, so this is definitely possible. Taking a quick look at the bracelet, it is lovely. Shark Hunter, Shark Proof, different names associated with this vintage-inspired mesh bracelet. You could see that the individual links are actually quite large, and the spacing between them far greater than, say, a Breitling mesh bracelet. So this is a bracelet that is distinctive of the Ploprof model made today. And you could see that although it's fundamentally built the same way as other mesh bracelets, it does have bigger gaps for a more vintage-inspired look. You can also see that we'll do a quick look at the bracelet itself. There's quite a bit of adjustability built into the clasp. So you have this push-button slider that gives you a massive amount of incremental adjustment. This is far more than what you get on, for example, a Planet Ocean or a Diver 300 meter. And then you've also got this fold-out dive extension, so you have an enormous amount of extensible length if you need it, both for fine-tuning fit and for flipping out over a dive suit or a thick winter coat. It is a twin trigger release. It's made of titanium, just like the rest of the bracelet and the watch. It's a very crisp closure. You could see Seamaster Professional, the hippocampus or seahorse logo, twin trigger release, combination of polish and satin, so it has a little bit of artistry to it. Rolling around the case. The case is a fairly complex construction. You can see it's a massive monoblock. And then we have a case back that screws in, and then a complex assembly for the bezel. Now, the way this works is you press the little plunger up at 2 o'clock, and then the bezel actually moves in either direction. So you can turn it in whichever direction allows you to more rapidly line up with the minute hand. The other thing you'll note is that it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, this is a 60-click bezel, and it's got a chunkier feel than all of the other Omega dive bezels, which are 120 click. Maybe it's because it is bidirectional like a GMT bezel. It has bigger individual jumps and a click that is less of a sharp ratchet and more of a somewhat damped thud as it moves along like a Rolex GMT Master. It's an unusual feel for a dive bezel. There is plenty of lume, and I mean plenty of lume. Everything on this bezel, which has a ceramic insert for scratch resistance, is luminescent, so it's easy to see how much time has elapsed. And because we have differential green lume for the minute hand and the bezel index, you can easily register each one relative to the other for at-a-glance timing. Also note all three hands are lumed, so you know if your dive watch is running when you dive. dive. But there's more to the case, a lot more actually. Here we have a helium gas escape valve for saturation divers. The original Seamaster 600 in the 70s did not have this because Omega swore that it was impossible for helium to intrude, so it need not be released. Well, Omega decided that even with more modern technology, a helium escape valve was warranted today. We also have a system that works on two columns that sit inside rails. So you see how there's a crown guard that offers you the kind of blunt impact protection that a conventional shouldered crown guard would not. And there is a rail system on each side with a column that retracts into the case and moves out. Now you can see that I'm able to adjust the watch, and this is hacking seconds mode, but there is also an intermediate setting position where I can jump my hours forward or backward as I travel while the watch continues to keep time. We'll screw that back in. Actually helps to do it upside down. Now, the dial itself is white gloss with blue applique indices, and then you have three colors on the dial: white, blue, and orange. Turning it all over, let's open up the clasp. This was a big change compared to the 2009 Ploprof. Now you can see your movement. Plongeur Professionnel, the original nickname of the watch, Ploprof, that's where that comes from. This is the 8912, which is the 8900 without a date. Bidirectional automatic winding, twin mainspring barrels, 60-hour power reserve, tri-level coaxial escapement for improved chronometry, power reserve, and reduced maintenance needs, shock resistance courtesy of a full balance bridge and a free-sprung balance, anti-magnetic escapement, balance staff balance, and silicone hairspring. It beats away at 25,200 vibrations per hour, which is a Swatch Group standard for silicone hairspring watches. You can see this 38 joule movement has two barrels, which means you get a very even torque release from the barrels. So there's no big drop-off in amplitude after 18, 24, 36 hours the way you would get with a single barrel. And then, of course, all of this is in grade 5 titanium, which is hypoallergenic, but it's also both harder to scratch than steel and lighter than steel. So there's a lot to love here, and of course water resistant beyond 1,200 meters. A dive watch of this type would have been tested to a full 125% of that before hitting the market. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.